once you identify fear, or you give fear a name, you can conquer it.
Welcome to Clicks and Bricks, where we talk about the entrepreneur mindset, everything from Main Street brick and mortar business to that billion-dollar manufacturer.
Today's episode is brought to you by MyGoSite, where you can build funnels and website all from one location. Easy to use, drag and drop builder. Build your first funnel today. Fully customized checkout experience, 14-day free trial, no credit card needed. Welcome back to Clicks and Bricks. My name is Ken. I'm super excited today to have Emeroy with us from Vision Paradox. Before we bring him on, if you'd like to join my text line community, 314-370-2871. That's my personal text line community. I'll send you one, maybe two text messages a month based on business tips, tricks, marketing tips, or crypto or NFT news. One or two a month, and I'll never try to sell you anything on that line. Again, 314-370-2871. How are you doing today, Emeroy?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for joining us. Super excited to have you on. You are the CEO and founder of Vision Paradox. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do and who Vision Paradox helps out?
Personally, for me, CEO, Chief Everything Officer. I'm operating and doing everything I can to help with companies, but essentially the company, we help brands through creative storytelling to help them get business results, especially with a lot of the stuff on the social media, and a lot of people underestimate the creative and the storytelling aspect of it, which when they underestimate the importance of that. Well, from our experience, it doesn't do too well in terms of engagement, in terms of ads, and a lot of people have had the bad habit of, I'm sorry, forgive me for rambling, but of underestimating the importance of creative.
Yeah, so I hear this comment. I don't know if I hear it once a week, but I at least hear it like twice a month. And I literally heard it yesterday from a shareholder. Facebook and Instagram ads don't work anymore. What do you say to that comment?
I half agree.
Okay. Well, they don't work for Apple anymore, but there's half the world still has Android.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Yes. For some of our clients, we're still getting some leads, not at the crazy amount that we used to, right. For obvious reasons, but it's still, in my opinion, still brings leads. And specifically right now with one of our clients, I'm about to drop the name, but I'm not gonna. But right. For one of their clients, for one of the mom and pop shops we work with, but I do see that it is time to start, for others who haven't used anything outside of Facebook ads or Instagram ads, to start getting familiar with TikTok's advertising platform, or even YouTube's advertising platform, if you're not familiar with those already. Right. But nonetheless, at this point in time, I still think it's a pretty solid platform for targeting and everything. But I do see the drop, and I think it's just a matter of time until it really is not as good as it was.
Right. Yeah, and the problem there is that Apple took away a lot of the functionality of the trackability that they had, that Facebook had on their platform. So, but I think I like Facebook for two kinds of ads. I really like it for lead capture ads, getting contact information from people. Actually, I like it for three kinds of ads. The second one I really like for retargeting. Their pixel attack, for if you've been to somebody's page, to go back and then really advertise that product, I think is a really good tool that you can use Facebook for, and still absolutely works, right? Because they've seen your brand, now they're seeing your ad inside the Facebook platform. I think that still works on Android or Apple, right? The retargeting stuff?
Yeah. That's exactly the reason I still think it's an insanely powerful tool.
Right, and the third thing that I really like is audience building. You put a video up there about the specific content, and you just do a video ads view. Now you can retarget those people that have watched, a certain amount of that video. So I think that the comment that Facebook and Instagram don't work anymore, it's just you're trying to drive a screw with a hammer. You're using the wrong tool for that. They don't work anymore to get that first level of attention. You got to get attention another way. But that retargeting and storytelling, like Emeroy was saying, still a wildly powerful tool for businesses.
Yeah, I agree. It can't. You have to be more, I'd say, sophisticated or clever in terms of how you target your audience, especially with your creative. It's really matching the data and art of things. You have to have having a pretty solid, I'd say, Facebook funnel. Obviously, top of the line of getting attention. We use, like, for some of the a workshop we used to market this weekend. We just used video views to get as much people to see something. The people who watched, about like 25% of that, we retargeted to them for a call to action. And then, for those of you who are familiar with Facebook funnels or funnels in terms of that end, should be familiar with what I'm talking about.
Right. So, fantastic. Yeah, the ads on Facebook and Instagram still absolutely work, but you got to be more creative. You have to have somebody that really knows it. The fly-by-night Facebook guy is gone, right? You have to have somebody that has in-depth knowledge, that has spent years, months, years, whatever on that platform, and really understands how to knock that out. And Emeroy's team definitely knows how to do that and create that story and that repetition. So, and there's other places now that you can get attention, right? TikTok's a great one. If you do YouTube ads, that's Google Ads platform, right?
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Yeah. So if you're familiar with Google Ads platform, you're already somewhat familiar with the YouTube Ads platform. Is there any other ways that you get? So we have a lot of brick and mortar business owners. Do you have any other ways, like tips and tricks on how to get attention? Like what's a good tool out there? And I've got one in mind that I like, that I just recently deployed for somebody that I like a lot.
I mean, the easiest one right now is it organically is just take a look at Instagram Reels or trending TikTok sounds, and just take a video of your business and add that sound to it. And then you'll be thrown into the whole attention like the whole attention graph of that. So
that's a super simple free one.
Yeah.
Right? That's a great tip. So in TikToks, you go to the popular trending sounds or the Reels, and you just make a video featuring your company logo or whatever, your staff, whatever, with that.
Yeah, it doesn't. You don't have to, like, because I know some people are thinking they have to dance and all this stuff for TikTok. No, and I've seen ESPN do it. Like they're showing a baseball highlight and they're just using a trending TikTok sound that I've seen other people dance to. So if people are dancing to it, likely people are watching video content with that sound. Just might as well add it. Add your own twist to it. Feature, do some behind the scenes stuff at your business. Or your product, like show, like, I don't know, a rotating thing of your bottle or something, or if it's a yoga class, simple behind the scenes of someone working with a student.
Right, absolutely. I think that's a great tip. I've recently deployed Waze advertising for local businesses, and it's fantastic because literally the ad shows up as you're driving by the business, and you can show coupons right inside Waze. Right, for so as they're driving down and they pass the subway, they can see a subway coupon, right, and hopefully get them in that drive-through window really quick. So that's the newer one that I've been dabbling in a little bit. I've not jumped in with both feet. TikTok is a great way to get attention, though, and I love that concept of just do your thing to the popular songs. I think people think that they have to do what everybody else is doing to that audio, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure that, and a lot of people have blown up that way too. I think there's a great video I saw on YouTube. I think the guy, his name is Jack Gordon. He deployed exactly what I just said. Like, do whatever you want, just have a trending sound in the background, and he grew into like 100,000 followers in 7 days. And all he was doing was tech reviews, and it just happened to have the sound. So just and because TikTok is it's a video and audio platform, so leverage both.
So did he do the sounds and do his tech review with the words, or did he do it?
He was
audio
talking,
over the sound.
He was talking head, and it just lower the audio to 20%, so it's more like background music instead of overpowering it. It'll still count.
That is an awesome tip. That is worth probably a retainer fee just by itself, right? So
this is exactly what I'm doing with my other clients, because they're kind of trying to make things look corporate, and honestly, it's boring. It's not meant for a social media environment where everything is fast or it's catchy. So and
Mr. Beast talks all the time about amateur by design, right? That people like to have, they feel better watching somebody that they relate to better.
Yeah.
Right.
It's you have to be like, even now when I see like a overly produced commercial on TikTok, I skip it right off the bat, because it's like we've been so conditioned to think, oh, it's another commercial. So
right. I mean, you got to get creative, right? And my problem is I'm always a corporate kind of guy, right? So I always do these polished kind of stuff, but
yeah, and I have nothing against polished. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, you gotta have a little grit.
The variety, I think, is what's gonna matter. Like right now, before I hopped on this podcast, I was creating like 5 different promo videos of different like from different of like polished to the finished product, so that way we can see what people engage with and we're covering our bases.
Right, absolutely. Split testing is huge in this game, right? So anytime you're hiring a marketing agency and they're going to say they're going to give you a single ad for a dollar amount, run away, right? Mm-hmm. You have to split test almost everything, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about this literally on one of my email campaigns. We took one line away, and we increased our recovery by like 10 times, right? So you got to keep testing those things. And when something works, put gas on it. Raise the budget. Or actually, do you have any advice on raising the budget versus copying the campaign at the same dollar amount?
Sorry, what was that?
So there's 2 different, like, scaling a campaign, right? I've heard this 1,000 times. Like, I had this campaign and it was working great. I was spending $20 a day and it was going great. So I upped my budget to $100 a day and it stopped.
Oh, no, don't.
Right?
No.
Like, this is a story I hear all the time. So, I've heard, like, you raise your budget by 20%. I've also heard just duplicate that ad with the same ad spend 4 times if you want to raise it up.
Huh? I've never heard the duplication one.
I haven't tried that one yet, but it's one of my next tests for split testing or scaling a campaign. Then you just copy the campaign, right?
I've never heard that one, but yeah, the general practice that I was taught was to go to incrementally increase, because if you increase too fast, it's gonna drain it. It's just gonna like.
It's one of the more frustrating things on the planet. Whenever you have something that works at $20, you're like, oh, if this works at 20, it'll work great at 100.
Yeah, because in theory, it's like, oh, if it's working and if you increase immediately, it should work, but it doesn't work that way.
No.
Just from my experiences, when I was working with one of my comedian clients, I forgot how much we had, but we increased it dramatically. And they weren't too happy with, and I advised against it. Like, no, like, I know you want ticket sales for this one city that you've never been to, but it's not going to work. And then they went with it anyways. And it was actually like, they lost out on money on that show because, and
it's scary stuff.
For me, it's because I know if the excitement is there, but I'd say a little bit more prude and trying to spend right away, even though it's working. I'm more about incremental like steps to see, is it really working? Let's give it a little bit more. Little bit more before it's like, and then eventually you get to the ideal, the budget we want. But yeah.
And if you put $100 budget or a $20 budget in Facebook, and it doesn't work, it's not going to work at $100 either, right? So putting more money on a bad campaign will not make it work. You got to go back and change something else. I think that the coolest thing about everything that we're doing today in marketing is how affordable it is to try things, right? I think that actually scares people away because they do a lot of work. They don't want to keep changing it, right? They want to do the work once and put it out there and think that it should work, but it doesn't. That's not the way the world works. So, but today we get to retry for cheap.
Yeah, right? Like it's. I mean, I'm a pretty young dude, but I can imagine how old like traditional commercials or billboards are and how hard that was. And then people are hesitant to put $50, even just like on a small split test campaign just to get some results. And they want something immediate. And I guess I could see where they're coming from because they want to obviously earn the money back. Right. But I mean, for me, like for small businesses I've worked with, like I say like you got to have at least 300 to 400 throwaway, like that's at a small end, like of just straight up testing.
Right.
And then that's what I did with one of my real estate clients, and then they like we tested with traffic ads, and we did everything to optimize their website, their SEO. They still weren't getting leads, and so we split tested that along with lead capture ads. That was the unlock right there.
Right, absolutely. So fantastic stuff. So tell us a little bit about, and I know we went way deep in the woods, but you've got some knowledge that I think small business owners need to have, right? And this is important stuff for them to have. If they're hiring you, trying to do it themselves, or hiring somebody else, they need to know some of this fundamental stuff to be able to make good decisions even, right?
Yeah.
But getting along back to the show, before you were doing Vision Paradox, where were you at? And then how did you make the decision to go from wherever you were to, being your own boss and being the CEO and founder of your own company?
Wow. This is a story and a half.
Okay.
Okay. Before Vision Paradox, in terms of my corporate job, I was actually an animator.
Oh, cool.
I worked on the last Harry Potter movie, the first Smurfs movie. I worked on the Quantum of Solace video game and the Tomb Raider reboot game. So I worked in the video game animation industry, and that's where I learned a lot of my creative principles from. And I feel like a cliche saying I was earning a good pay,
right?
Especially in 2000.
Spurs, that's just a small movie.
Yes. But
it's a little cartoon from the 70s, right?
Just like, and then they just adapted it for theaters and whatnot. Right. Neil Patrick Harris, but it was a. I got to a point where I was trying to figure out what was next in my life, and I mean I'm 25 and feeling at that time having a quarter life crisis because I felt like I had hit the goals that I wanted, but I was also unhappy. And then when my and this is probably one of the worst decisions to do, but when my fiance at the time said that my son was on the way, I was like, the biggest question for me was, what kind of dad do I want to be? And right. It was like, okay, 40 hours a week was good, but then when crunch time happens, I'm hardly home. And that's not the person who I envisioned to be. Like I would come home 4 a.m. in the morning, sleep, and then like for a couple hours, leave at 6 a.m. To be stuck in 2 hours of traffic trying to get to Santa Monica.
Right.
So that was just like, So once those contracts ended, I took the leap, and I honestly, for those of you guys trying to start the journey, I would recommend having a stable job for the cash flow. I was young there's over ambitious and filled with
two
hubris.
Schools of thought there, really, right? I mean, there's the jump that will appear, and if you keep the corporate job, you've always had this kind of safety net. You never really commit. So, I mean, I think my best advice is do what makes you feel comfortable and do what makes you feel happy, right?
That's
if you've got the gumption and you've got some safety nets off on the side, quit the corporate job and go. If you don't, you got kids and stuff like that, you got to keep the insurance, right? Maybe take your significant other and start that business on the side. There's a lot of things that you can do to figure out those waters, right?
Yeah.
But going from that to owning your own business, because you got income coming in, and now you don't, right? And so you got to eat your kill all the time. I recall, not a lot of people know this. I went to film school, and I worked on a couple films when I was younger. And I remember being on set. I did a couple shorts, and I think I was a co-producer and grip and stuff like that. But I remember some of those set days would be 16, 18-hour days, and you'd sleep with crew, right? Like literally, you'd all just go in the back room and get a couple hours of sleep, and then get back to set. So it is.
Oh my God.
It's the most grueling job I've ever had is working on a film set, by hands down. Like emotionally, physically, everything you can think of. It is go nonstop. So it's definitely, I understand the move from, I think probably one of the only industries more debated in corporate America would be corporate Hollywood, right? It's like corporate America on steroids, because they're
like the hours are crazy.
Right.
Like 12-hour, 18-hour, 16-hour days.
And I'm pretty sure there's laws around not doing that, but it doesn't seem that those are affected or active in that arena. Right?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so obviously throughout all of this career, a great career at an early age, make the decision to make a big change in life, and you're going to leave this animator position. Were you working for a film house, or were you independent contractor?
I was in a contract position.
You're in a contract position, but for one of the film houses. So it was steady work. It wasn't agency work all the time, right?
No.
You always had work coming in. So making that change to be your own boss, earn your own keep. Obviously, the pay goes way down immediately, and no insurance unless your significant other has it. A lot of scary stuff. Yeah. So when you're dealing with all those scary things and you're scratching your head like, oh shit, what did I just do? Do you have any tips or tricks on your mindset on how do you overcome that and not go running back to what you're used to, what your comfortable position was?
Like running back to a corporate job? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, how do you keep your mindset when shit gets really, really hard, and I'm sure it has, right? At times, how do you keep your mindset of, this is what I'm doing? Because you have to stay on that mindset. I'm going to do this. And if you waver for even a minute, that corporate job looks really attractive, right? So how do you keep your mindset, there when things are really, really hard?
It's almost going back to a toxic boyfriend or toxic ex.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But I guess it depends on the environment. But for me, what helped out was something called fear setting, which is like the opposite of goal setting. I learned it from a guy named Ferris, learned it from the Stoics and all that stuff, which is you write down all the worst case scenarios possible, and then you write the steps in how to recover from it.
Oh.
So, which is, because one of the things is like once you identify fear or you give fear a name, now you can conquer it.
Right.
So what, like something for me is like we, what do you call it? We're unable to pay the rent for this place.
Right.
And there's more to the story, but unable to pay the rent. So how do I recover from that? I don't know. Like worst case scenario, I'd have to borrow money from we'd have to borrow money from our parents, or worst case scenario is obviously going back, but but to just do that to take care of the basic needs. But or how do I prevent going back to the job is like, okay, I go ham on whatever opportunities I can find. There were some points, because I was still doing animation freelance at that site. I just knew I didn't want to work for a studio anymore. But I went through every Craigslist post, every freelancing website, and I just freaking sprayed and prayed.
Right.
And that's how one of the ways I got started. Just like, it's either like I get worried and like I let the fear kind of just paralyze me, or I just like define what I'm afraid of, figure it out, how do I beat it so I don't get there.
Right. My second company I ever started, I was 17 years old, I think. My first company was just an opportunity we saw and took advantage of it. The second one is what I wanted to do, which was make corporate commercials. And this would have been 1997 probably, right? So I literally open the yellow pages and I start with A. Right? I'm just calling them. And I was this dumb kid, like, because there was no internet. I mean, there was the internet, but it was like, very, very meager. I had a 14 baud modem, right? I was Merc rooms back then, right? AOL wasn't even something I had access to then. But yeah, just hitting that yellow pages, and I think I got to the C's before I even got one reasonable meeting. But I was just a dumb kid, like trying to make videos for people, right? But I say very similar concept, right? Just this is what I'm going to do. You make the decision and you do it. You just keep hustling and going until you get somebody to say yes, and then you stack those yeses on top of each other and keep growing them and growing them and growing them.
And it's really, for me, I learned just a numbers game, not a percentages game. It's like you're gonna get so many more no's than yeses. Yes. So it's like I didn't even care, like because that's one of the things I was afraid of. Was like, what if they say no? It's like, I already have a no right now, so might as well get an actual. So I might as well actually hear it from them directly, or you never know, they might give me a shot. So.
Right. Absolutely. And then, so obviously, when you're in that world and in the Hollywood world, and you're taking that highly polished perfection video or film. Is it video or film now? Digital video?
It's still, I still call it film and video.
Okay. I remember when I was in school, the film guys would really get mad if you called video film. They're a little snobby about what film is. And, yeah. So anyway, right. So you've got this, you're doing everything with high budgets. Now you're moving over to, lower budget jobs, right? You're making ads for small, medium-sized businesses, sometimes big businesses as well. How do you keep in the mindset for, always thriving to do the absolute best job that you can when you can cut corners, you can get through, do some other stuff, especially, when you have some of this. I feel like in business, you've always got really great things happening and you've got some bad things happening always at the same time.
Yeah,
right?
Oh my God.
And you've got to change gears like nonstop. Yeah. You got to go to this block and tackle mode, and then you got to go into this sprint mode, right? I like that block and tackle is my adversity and this sprint is my thriving. And sometimes it's really hard to change those gears, right? And I loved your adversity, like fear chasing or fear, what did you call it? Fear documenting?
Fear setting.
Fear setting, so opposite of goal setting. I love that technique. I'm gonna use that myself. I've named my fears, right, and figure out how do I let go of them, but I never actually did it like a SWOT analysis where I sat down like, okay, what are my fears and how would I overcome them if they got there? And I think that's a brilliant trick to kind of, when that thing happens, you've already got an idea about what you're gonna do, right?
Yeah.
So that's fantastic.
Because then it gives. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So I'd love to hear your trick on how you change those gears. And you've got even more, because when you get into your project, you've got to get into another mindset zone of, like, that's a zone of when you're drawing or you're editing, that's a completely different mindset than adversity or thriving. So you got to change gears quite a bit. How do you deal with that?
Changing gears between like adversity and thriving?
Yes.
When it comes to adversity, I think the first thing that I try to focus on is what's the biggest thing like I can control right now to inch towards the direction that I want. Because I can easily go into the thought of like, here's the worst case obviously there's the thoughts of worst case scenarios, which is why I do the fear setting, so I can feel like I have control of it. And then I really haven't taken audit of what's happening in reality. And adding more to it, if I need to see a therapist, just talk it out, because sometimes your significant other isn't always the best person to support you, because they don't know, they're too close to you. Right. But or even if you don't go to therapy, have someone who's in the same field to give a perspective, because sometimes for me, I sometimes can overthink, and having someone who's outside of it share their perspective just sheds a light that may have not been seen before. On the thriving end, when a car shifting gears into that, I don't know. For me, my brain kind of goes into like a whole possibility of what can be created, as given that depends on the context. If it's a client giving us a free reign of the budget, like we create whatever you want, and then I'm like, oh, well, wait till I create, or it's an internal project with the company where we're filming a music video, and that one's a little bit more, I'd say, intentional, a little bit more relaxed, quote unquote relaxed, but with a deadline.
Okay.
Like you can take your time as long as it's done by Tuesday.
Right. So is that kind of like imagining or romanticizing with the outcome?
Yeah.
Right? Like, so hey, I know if I can get through this and I can really hustle up and get this done, then I'm gonna have this great product at the end, right? And you fall in love with what the outcome is, and then you really enjoy the whole process, right?
Yeah.
It's a little dangerous, because sometimes I'll do that, and what I find is I'm so excited to get to the outcome, I kind of rush it, right? So it's important to not do that, but romanticize about that, but remember that quality is always important, and make sure that you're making sure that you're touching all of those things along the way.
Oh yeah, so, like any project that we've planned, whether it's what we call it, with a client or an internal project,
right.
As excited as we are, like the question next is how do we get there? Like who do we need to hire? How many, like what venues do we need to hire? Like who in the video crew needs to be there? All the logistics. That way we're set up to win, to properly execute what we have in mind.
Absolutely.
So
great tips. Thank you so much. So obviously in your world, you're cutting edge technology all the time, right? Both in the marketing world, the video creation world, the audio creation world, all of those things are always cutting edge. Where do you see the future of your industry 5, 10, or 20 years from now?
Shit, man. I mean, prior to Meta, we were my company and I were just talking about the idea of like, I don't know what we were calling it, like augmented advertising somehow, like in real time you would be watching a movie, but the product would be changing depending on who's which person is paying.
Oh wow. Okay.
So like say I'm drinking this little bottle, but it's like a green screen bottle, and depending on who's paying on where, it might be a Coke bottle, it might be a Pepsi bottle, it might be a Sprite bottle, but it'll be it'll be a seamless experience, because I think that's one of the things that's rough for a lot of advertisers, because it can ruin the experience, especially for people who are doing YouTube. A lot of people probably skip the sponsored ads, but if they successfully integrate the ad through the video or through the content, it'll feel like it was never there, or it was just a part of it the whole time. So that's what we were thinking, like, maybe an augmented car, like it looks like a regular stock tracking car, and then but the thing is, whoever's buying the ad time, it might be a Ferrari, it might be a Lamborghini, but it just
so you're
depends.
saying who's buying the ad time or who's watching it, right? Because now, like, the brilliance behind Facebook marketing is that I can build an ad for a 40-year-old man that has 2 kids, that's in alcohol recovery, that makes $150,000 a year, right? That also likes Porsches more than Camaros, right? So I can literally hit an ad right for him. So if you could put ads for those people, like who's watching the content in a movie, and change out the drinks depending on who's watching it,
the drinks,
that's wild.
Yeah.
That is,
in terms, I would love to see. I mean, I don't know if the technology is even being developed, but I think that would be a great seamless experience.
Well, I think the technology, I think we'll see something very similar to that in the metaverse, and in all the metaverses, right?
And then
what Mark Zuckerberg did in early November was he came out and he solidified that virtual reality will be a business application before augmented reality will be, right? I mean, there's augmented reality out there right now, but it's infancy, right? And then I think with Facebook's horizons, it's going to go at breakneck speed. Just like every business had a website in the late 90s, early 2000s, businesses were flying to get websites. In 2007, 2008, businesses were flocking to get a Facebook page. I think now businesses are going to be flocking to get a VR world, and you're going to be able to walk into a grocery store and pick the product up and look at it, and then drop it in your cart, and it's just going to be delivered to you, right? Instead of the flat screen, all those things are going to happen.
I agree entirely. The metaverse is definitely going to make everything all that possible. Like, whatever you see, it'll just instantly change in terms of advertising.
And then your product in your grocery store is going to be a pay-to-play product, right? So think about this. Right now, the grocery stores are deciding what's going to be put on the shelves based on the area that you live in. And 20 years from now, the products in your grocery store is going to be based on, because Procter & Gamble could pay more than the other guy to place that product in that store.
Oh my God, yeah, that's a great. Oh, I didn't think of it that way. Jesus.
Right. So our products that we're buying are literally going to go to the highest bidder. That's the product we're going to have available to us.
Yeah.
Right. So it's going to be a crazy world. I think also the audio, the Alexas is going to be a huge player, right? So, for the audience out there, Gary Vee talks about brand all day long, and he's not wrong, because you're not going to say, Alexa, order me Peter Pan peanut butter, you're going to say, Alexa, get me some peanut butter, and you're going to get Amazon Basics peanut butter, right?
Yeah. Oh my God, Amazon's scary. Oh my God, that's not even fair, man.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's going to have to really step up the game and take on Amazon. It's not going to be me, but I'm hoping there's some really smart kids in a garage somewhere that are figuring out how to take that monster on, because it needs to happen. And I'd rather it happen through capitalism than the government breaking them down. Breaking them down, because that'll just be, it won't be good for anybody.
I'm 1,000% with you, like especially with audio. I actually have 4 other podcasts that I do.
Okay.
So, it's with a different cast of people. So like I think audio has been huge, especially with my company. We have a podcast called Ask Vision Paradox. All we do is each episode it's simple content. We just take a question and we answer it as a group. And then that way we can answer like each all of it is individual social media questions, because I know not everyone has it has an hour to listen to all of it, but if there's a specific question they need help on, hopefully it helps out. And then the metaverse is just there's a lot. I don't know if you've heard of Binance. They entered I mean, just the thought of like the Atari world, and then just go down with your avatar and you're all of a sudden for those of you guys who play Fortnite or Minecraft, just the seamless integration of just you going to these different worlds. And then those of you guys who are in like into NFTs, you can just, like, there's an actual place to show off what you have. Like, cause I was checking out, like, there people have like NFT galleries in VR, showing the things they bought. So it's like
it's gonna be one of the first things I build in VR is a gallery for my NFTs. Right.
Yay! Okay, let's go. The first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna flex on them.
Yes, absolutely. I got a brain bonnet this weekend. I got 2 of them, so pretty excited about that.
Damn, dude.
Yeah. So I missed out on a V-friend, but we'll see what happens. So, but keep moving on. Fantastic. And now on the audio, do you have any like tips or tricks that a business owner could do today to help him in the audio? Because I've got one trick or tip that I think that every business should do, but I'm curious to hear about if you have any advice for
in terms of like for creating audio content.
Like getting on the audio content, what first step should they do?
I mean, I started my podcast once Anchor became a thing. I just did it off my phone, and then and then in terms of content, any basic question that I always got, I made it into a thing. And then
So I would say a business today, if you're in business today, I think the easiest way to make sure that you're somewhat relevant in the audio ask world is at least have a Wikipedia page about your business. Because Alexa, if you ask Alexa about a business, the first place she's going to look is the Wikipedia, right? And she's going to read that off. So you can control that, what the Wikipedia says about your business. So very easy thing that a business can do is have a Wikipedia page that describes their business, and it's great for backlinks anyway, right? So Alexa looks for that Wikipedia article, and if she can't find anything else about your business, she's going to read what's in that article from Wikipedia. So easy tip to get right into, have some content available for the Amazon Alexa is to have a Wikipedia page, right? On the other topic is anytime you get a question asked, make an audio answer, make a video answer, and make a text answer, and put that out in all of your different platforms.
Or if you even better, if you can do like a video answer, which does both, and then there's tools like Descript or Descript. I don't know how you guys say it. How people say it. It transcribes it for you. The AI is pretty spot on, and then convert that into a blog post.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today, Emeroy. I had a blast. I love talking about marketing and NFTs and the future and all that stuff. Before we get out of here, do you have anything you'd like to leave the audience? Tips, tricks, ideas?
Automate and create SOPs. That you're going to save a lot of time. So I mean, and create and enjoy. Don't need to overthink, because if people, especially on Twitch, are willing to watch other people sleep on Twitch, they're probably willing to listen to you talk about your business.
Absolutely. And for those of you who don't know what SOPs are, standard operating procedures. Document the heck out of them. I use WordPress to document all of my SOPs. I do them as posts, and I have a whole bunch of different categories. My whole team can easily search for them, link back to different stuff, all kinds of things. WordPress is a great tool. If you need help with it, feel free to let us know. I'm sure you could probably hit up Emery and he could help you out too. But that's it for today, folks. Thank you for joining the show. My name is Ken. Again, if you'd like to join my text line community, it's 314-370-2871. That's it for today. Get to work.